Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. This series, I am once again joined by my wonderful co-host, That Darn Kitty.
Dorkus and I are sharing our experience reading The Way of Kings for the first time. Each episode we will summarize what we've read and discuss the experience along the way.
This is Storming the Archives, The Way of Kings, and today we discuss Chapter 25.
Chapter 25.
Indeed, Chapter 25, The Butcher. Now, you may have noticed that we didn't summarize beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's because this is a short chapter, folks. So I thought it would be fun to break from our usual format and do a read.
A blind read. Not a blind read, sorry. Cut that out.
It's not a
Do a
blind
read.
blind. We both have read the chapter. It's just that it's nice to shake things up every once in a while. And
Why not?
we thought it would be fun, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
The first thing you notice in this chapter is that it's called The Butcher, and I think there are two directions that title could be aimed at.
Mm-hmm.
One will be Lirin, and the other will be Roshon.
Mm-hmm. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that, though. 7 years ago.
It ain't right what they do. You ain't supposed to cut into folks peering in to see what the Almighty placed hidden for good reason.
And that right there is why I start off by saying that Lirin could be the Butcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. You cut into things that
Into meat.
Mm-hmm.
And my fury in this chapter is unlimited. I don't like these people.
These ungrateful sods. Oh my gosh. They are horrid.
I got so mad.
So does Cal, at least.
At least someone's mad.
Yeah. His mom has a more measured way of dealing with it, as we'll see, but I'm with Cal on this. Maybe I'm also just 13 inside.
There should be outrage. If this is how they feel, go somewhere else where you will be more appreciated.
Yeah. No, and also don't come to me when you've broken your this or that. Okay.
Yep.
Oh no. Oh, I have such a horrible pain. Oh, and the Almighty wants it hidden though, so I'm not gonna cut into you.
Mm-hmm.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Hags.
Yep. Cal froze, standing in an alleyway between two houses in Hearthstone. The sky was wan overhead, winter had come for a time. The weeping was near, and high storms were infrequent. For now it was too cold for plants to enjoy the respite. Rockbuds spent winter weeks curled up inside their shells. Most creatures hibernated, waiting for warmth to return. Fortunately, seasons generally lasted only a few weeks. Unpredictability. That was the way of the world. Only after death was there stability. So the Ardents taught, at least. So, one of the big things that jumped out at me there was winter only lasts a couple of weeks.
Yeah, what is it even? Why is it even called a season then? It's called like a cold snap, basically. I was trying to find a word to say other than cold snap or something like that. Like season, when you think of a season, it's a long time.
Yeah.
So they still have the concept, but it doesn't seem to apply here.
Yeah. And of course my mind goes to Gurm with those winters that last decades.
Yeah, there's the complete opposite.
Yeah. But
yeah. Also this the weeping was near and high storms were infrequent. So remember that's kind of like a measure of years. Like I've seen this many weepings, whatever. So I would expect that is a unit of measurement that is regular. That's what I'm trying to understand here. But then seasons happen whenever the hell they feel like it. They're like moods.
Yeah,
interesting parallel with,
apparently.
the moodiness. But, yeah, I just still don't understand what the weeping is, and we need to have that. And please, can I understand what the weeping is?
Yeah. And I think it was explained to us during one of our casting streams
Mhm.
that years are different in this world, such that a character who is, say, 15 would really be more like 17 or 18 kind of a situation.
Uh,
So,
so there just isn't that uniform measurement. It's just you literally if there were, like, 2 weepings within 6 months, that's how it's gonna happen. That you would still land up being, "I've seen this many weepings."
yeah, what I'm getting from this alien world has a lot of very different alien measurements for time and things like that.
Yeah, it's very tough to keep track of and perceive, and I love that.
Yep.
'Cause, I love that, yeah, if there was another world, that's how it would work.
Yep.
Time is different, everything is different there, so
Yep. Seasons are
yeah.
different. Two planets.
Mhm.
I mean, not two
Mhm.
planets, two moons. Isn't that the
Isn't
thing?
like 3 of them? I don't know. Yeah.
I'll look that one up later. I won't look it up.
Mhm.
I'll try and like skim through the earlier part of the book.
Mhm.
To clarify, I don't look things up. I promise.
Mhm.
And then we get some more ardent lessons. Unpredictability is the
Mhm.
way of the world. After death is when there's stability.
Mhm.
Good to know. Noted.
Mhm.
Cal wore a thick padded coat of breech tree cotton. The material was scratchy but warm and had been dyed a deep brown. He kept the hood up, his hands in his pockets. To his right sat the baker's place. The family slept in the triangular crawl space in back, and the front was their store. To Cal's left was one of Hearthstone's taverns, where lavish ale and mud beer flowed in abundance during winter weeks.
That's not, appetizing in my opinion. Like, maybe a lavish ale, but mud beer? Like, I know it's probably not literally made from mud, but just the word is not appetizing to me.
Sure. It's also noteworthy this is the first time we get to see Hearthstone proper, yeah?
Yeah, this was like this before we just had them on the outskirts and things like that.
Yeah. So, seems nice enough. He could hear two women, unseen but chatting a short distance away.
You know that he stole from the old city lord an entire goblet full of spheres. The surgeon says they were a gift, but he was the only one there when the city lord died. There is a document, I hear. A few glyphs, not a proper will. And whose hand wrote those glyphs? The surgeon himself? It ain't right. The city lord not having a woman there to scribe. I'm telling you, it ain't right what they do.
So, alarm bells are just going off in my mind right now. First off, absolute hatred for these people. um, but these are not good rumors to have going about when there's going to be a new city lord, regardless of whether or not that city lord ends up being a good person or a bad person. And we get
Mhm,
kind of that answer by the end of this chapter, I think.
mhm. Yeah, it's
I don't like them
mhm.
saying these things.
Yeah, this is the first impression they're gonna get. This city lord person is gonna get the first news they're gonna get about this family. So having those rumors around is just not it's not useful,
No,
whether he's a good person or not.
I feel fairly strongly that put it in the prediction log. The new city
Mhm.
lord is going to try and get those spheres back from them.
Oh, I agree. He's gonna believe the rumors.
100%. Cal gritted his teeth, tempted to step out and let the women see that he'd heard them. His father wouldn't approve, though. Liren wouldn't want to cause strife or embarrassment. But that was his father, so Cal marched right out of the alleyway, passing Nanha Tereth and Nanha Relina, standing and gossiping in front of the bakery. Tereth was the baker's wife, a fat woman with curly dark hair. She was in the middle of another calumny. Cal gave her a sharp look, and her brown eyes showed a satisfying moment of discomfiture.
Go Cal! Woo! Also, do you see this Nanha, whatever?
Yeah.
It's I
Non
suppose it's like
Balat
Mrs. this.
versus.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess it's like it's a title.
Mhm.
It's like Mrs. this and Mrs. that. just an interesting world building thing. But also, I love that snap of basically like I thought like Carl thought better of it. He was like, "No, I shouldn't do this." But you know what? It's my dad, and he like storms out there. Basically, I loved that.
I mean, it's hard for me to see how that could backfire. I'm sure it will backfire on him, but good. Like, let them know you heard them. Because they know they
Yeah,
shouldn't be saying that shit.
that's why she got she had that satisfying moment of discomfiture. He's making sure they know that he knows. And yes, Liren wouldn't want to cause strife or embarrassment. Wouldn't want him to cause strife or embarrassment. Well, that's his father, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. That's what you want. I will cause strife and embarrassment because I'm angry. Um, and here as well, did you also what I also thought about was it's kind of like the situation with Dalinar and Adolin, where Dalinar is wants to deal with a problem a certain way, and Adolin, on the other hand, is like, no, I would like to
Oh,
actually just fight all of you guys.
that's a
There people
great
are talking bad
parallel.
about yeah, people are talking bad about Dalinar. They're and he wants to defend his dad. His dad's like, no, 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 we deal with this with grace. It's like, there you go. Now, obviously, Cal is 13 over here, so we're happy to be gung ho about it. And it's
Yeah.
not exactly as intriguing as the politics at the moment, but yeah, I just saw that parallel. It was quite beautiful.
Yeah. That's great. Cal crossed the square carefully, wary of patches of ice. The door to the bakery slammed shut behind him, the two women fleeing inside. His satisfaction didn't last long. Why did people always say such things about his father? They called him morbid and unnatural, but would scurry out to buy glyph wards and charms from a passing apothecary or luck merch. The almighty pity a man who actually did something useful to help. Now that you've called out the parallel to Dalinar,
Mhm,
I'm like, yes, Dalinar is
mhm,
trying to do something useful to unite them.
mhm. Yeah,
Wow.
but this also comes later on. So I love that this little man, essentially, Cal, is as well going like the almighty pity a man who actually did something useful to help. So that's what how he thought of it. He thinks of what his father's doing as useful. The glyph wards and whatever is not useful. And yes, going back to the parallel, Adeline has ideas of what he thinks is useful. The high princes have ideas of what they think is useful and good and not morbid. Whereas we've got Dalinar over there who wants to paradigm shift. He wants to be like, we're not fighting, we're uniting. Yeah.
Right. Still stewing, Cal turned a few corners, walking to where his mother stood on a stepladder at the side of the town hall, carefully chipping at the eaves of the building. Hesina was a tall woman, and she usually kept her hair pulled back into a tail, then wrapped a kerchief around her head. Today, she wore a
My
knit What?
my highlight there, sorry, I just thought I would let you know. Because when I highlighted Hisina was a tall woman, and then I made a note, steady Dorkus. Sorry.
Tall women, best women. What?
Sorry. Then you can start again. Hisina was a tall woman.
Hesina was a tall woman, and she usually kept her hair pulled back into a tail, then wrapped a kerchief around her head. Today she wore a knit hat over that. She had a long brown coat that matched Cal's, and the blue hem of her skirt just barely peeked out at the bottom. The objects of her attention were a set of icicle-like pendants of rock that had formed on the edges of the roof. High storms dropped stormwater, and stormwater carried creme. If left alone, creme eventually hardened into stone. Buildings grew stalactites formed by stormwater slowly dripping from the eaves. You had to clean them off regularly or risk weighing down the roof so much that it collapsed.
Neat. As
Yeah,
in, wow. This world is God, this world sucks actually.
sounds like it, but I like that that's a job. I like that that's a thing. That's not a
Mhm.
real thing. Like creme, I should have maybe looked this up, but like creme isn't a thing, is it?
No, not itself. I don't think the actual term, but that is how stalactites, isn't it, as well? There's deposits that happen. Yes, the water running down wears away at rock, but doesn't also stalactites and stalagmites, the way that they are formed, is the sort of
Through dripping.
yeah, dripping and residue.
Yeah.
So so it makes sense. Yeah, the water would drip off, but whatever is left behind becomes that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to
It's
sound
really the
smart.
speed that
Mhm.
is of fantastic noteworthiness here.
Yes. That it has to happen. It's like cleaning the leaves out of your gutters, basically. That's how often this gotta you know what? Probably even more often.
Yeah. She noticed him and smiled, her cheeks flushed from the cold. With a narrow face, a bold chin, and full lips, she was a pretty woman. At least Cal thought so. Prettier than the baker's wife for sure.
I love that so much. It's so endearing. It's like, yeah, my mom's prettier than those bitches. Yeah. Like, yeah, Carl. Of course you love your mommy.
Aw, and she seems like a very lovely woman.
Mhm.
Liren seems awkward.
But they
Very
seem to care about
awkward. Yeah. Yeah.
mhm. Your father dismissed you from your lessons already?
Everyone hates father, Cal blurted out. His mother turned back to her work.
Kaladin, you're 13. You're old enough to know not to say foolish things like that.
It's true! I heard some women talking just now. They said that father stole the spheres from Bright Lord Wistio. They say that father enjoys slicing people open and doing things that ain't natural.
Aren't natural.
Why can't I speak like everyone else?
Because it isn't proper.
It's proper enough for Nanhatereth.
And what do you think of her?
Cal hesitated. She's ignorant, and she likes to gossip about things she doesn't know anything about.
Well then, if you wish to emulate her, I can obviously find no objection to the practice.
Already, Hesina is very intelligent, witty,
Mhm.
likable character, I think.
And yes, so yeah, exactly. Witty and knows how to get through to her son. Like she knows her son is intelligent enough to pick up on what she's putting down. So I love it. Mm, makes me really sad because I'm like, where is she? Is she okay?
I
And
hope so.
just a great mom because it's like I'm not gonna yell at you and continue in this way. I'm gonna give you ways to think about it because I know that you are smart enough to get there. I really
Yeah.
love this interaction. I love this exchange.
Yeah, and the information that he imparts to her is
Mm.
that rumors are about that Lirin stole the spheres,
Mhm.
and they don't really hone in on that part of the topic yet because Hesina chooses to talk about the ain't of it for the moment.
Yeah, and I think that that's the adult choice. She doesn't want to make her son worry.
Yeah.
She'll rather just she's trying to assuage his misgivings. She'll have her own thoughts about what this means, but at the same time, she's just being a proper mom about it and like, okay,
Yeah.
cool, you calm yourself. Because also, what is Cal gonna do about this? There's nothing you can do about it. So,
Right.
the mom of it all, good mom.
But there will be a point later where I think he brings it up again or something just
Mhm.
as bad, and she goes silent. And we'll get to that
Mhm.
moment when we do. But these
Yeah,
rumors, I think, are worse
they
than they seem. And they
I
already
I
seem bad.
I think both of us have picked up that Hesina is definitely concerned about it, despite what she says to Cal.
Yeah. And then the line, she's ignorant. It's just Hesina really honed in on how to get Kaladin to understand the point and come to his own
Mhm.
serious, good thought about it.
Mhm.
I'm I'm tired. So I
That's
hope you get my point. It's just an
good. Mhm.
appreciation for the parenting of it, as you said,
Yeah.
Kite.
Mhm.
Cal grimaced. You had to watch yourself when speaking with Hesina. She liked to twist words about. He leaned back against the wall of the town hall, watching his breath puff out in front of him. Perhaps a different tactic would work. Mother, why do people hate father?
They don't hate him,
She said. However, his calmly asked question got her to continue.
but he does make them uncomfortable.
Why?
Because some people are frightened of knowledge. Your father is a learned man. He knows things the others can't understand. So those things must be dark and mysterious.
They aren't afraid of luck merches and glyph wards.
Those you can understand. You burn a glyph ward out in front of your house and it will turn away evil. It's easy. Your father won't give someone a ward to heal them. He'll insist they stay in bed, drinking water, taking some foul medicine, and washing their wound each day. It's hard. They'd rather leave it all to fate.
That's very adult of her. I don't quite know
Mm.
how else to say it other than that it
Yeah.
it's not going to be very comforting to Cal, who is a child, but like this is what you tell the child.
This is the lesson he's supposed to take from it. It's the good faith, the understanding of your fellow man, which is what the adult needs to do in this situation. So it's not that she's talking crap here. This is the truth.
Yeah.
It's the wisdom that you need to take from the situation, and it's the belief statement underneath it all, where it's like, yeah, I understand why people see this, see my husband a certain way, or see us a certain way because of this and this and this. What do we do with that knowledge? We just She actually casts judgment on the people, but in a gentle way. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, they want an easier life. It's so much easier to just blame, to just
Blame God for
do.
your problems.
Yeah, exactly, as we get to it. So again, it's like she's parenting here as much as she could also just easily, like a bad parent, I think here would also complain
Yeah.
and get into the child bucket and also start throwing poop around. But this is
Right.
the mom of it all. She's like, she has to be upstanding and give him the lesson.
Right, but the reason that Cal won't find this comforting is that he himself has a fairly strong sense of moral goodness and moral badness.
Hmm.
He's very just in his intuitions, and he knows that what they're doing is sort of an injustice against him and his family, who work so hard for free essentially to help
Hmm.
these people.
Yeah,
So it
and
doesn't
actually,
matter why they do it,
mhm.
it's that they do it.
Yeah, exactly. And think back to his previous comment before he saw his mom, like to himself, he's like, Almighty help the man who tried to do something useful. So he's like, he's angry because it's like his dad is doing something useful. They don't see that it's useful. They think it's hard and difficult, but it is useful and they need to see that. So I agree with you. It's not comforting to him because it's like, yeah, but they're still wrong. I don't care that I know why. They're still wrong.
Yeah, and he compound that with the fact that his parents don't seem to do anything or don't want to do anything. And the truth
Mhm.
is, they probably are trying to do things. It's just that they're keeping their child out of it.
Mhm. Yeah.
But they don't say, "Look, Cal, we're trying you're right. This isn't right. We're trying to handle it. Do not get involved." Which, would that be a good parenting move? I think it might stop Cal from potentially doing something stupid at some point, which I think would be in
Mhm.
keeping with Cal's character potentially.
Yeah, because he does hold on to what his parents want from him and what they don't. He does think of what his parents will think of his actions. So if he is told not to do something, but has that faith that, oh, my parents are doing something about it, or my parents at least agree with me, which is, you do need that validation that, hey,
Hmm.
actually, yeah, this is wrong. It's like for a child, imagine this, like, okay, I have the morals and you have the right morals, but I'm struggling with other people not having my morals. What am I supposed to do about that? And yeah, it's something missing here. But I think that kind of happens with parents when your child is at a certain age. You think, no, 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 he's too young for it. It's like, actually, he would benefit from it by now.
Hmm.
He would benefit from deeper understanding.
Agreed.
Anyway,
Yeah. Anyway, Cal considered that. I think they hate him because he fails too often.
there is that. If a glyph ward fails, you can blame it on the will of the Almighty. If your father fails, then it's his fault. Or such is the perception.
His mother continued working, flakes of stone falling to the ground around her.
They'll never actually hate your father. He's too useful. But he'll never really be one of them. That's the price of being a surgeon. Having power over the lives of men is an uncomfortable responsibility.
And if I don't want that responsibility? What if I just want to be something normal, like a baker, or a farmer, or... Or a soldier, he added in his mind. He'd picked up a staff a few times in secret, and though he'd never been able to replicate that moment when he'd fought Yost, there was something invigorating about holding a weapon. Something that drew him and excited him.
I was thinking of the thing that he's actually done in the present, or in the future, basically. So this is child Cal, but Cal has taken responsibility for the lives of men as this 19, 20-year old in the future. So it's nice to have this flashback, to have him figuring out this value and learning what responsibility means when you're taking care of people's lives, learning all of these lessons, and then knowing what he's doing in the future with them is pretty cool.
Mm.
And then also with going back to the Dalinar parallels as well, Dalinar has responsibilities, the king has responsibilities. So just the theme of responsibility over people's lives when you're taking care of them, when you have power over their lives or deaths, that is a responsibility. So that core value coming through, just I love it. I love that makes these flashback chapters so pertinent. It makes them so useful.
Yeah. And the part that spoke to me was, but he'll never really be one of them. That's the price of being a surgeon. And
Mhm.
Cal responds with wanting to be normal, because that's his big thing. I think he wants to help people, but he wants to be normal at the same time. And she tries to say, like, your dad feels similar to how you do,
Your your
but he
your
but he
dad
accepts
isn't
that.
normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he accepts it. There you go. Yeah. Your dad isn't normal, and that's good, and that's fine, and it's part of being who you are. And
To which
it's
Cal would say, but I
yeah.
didn't choose that.
Mhm.
I want to choose to be normal.
Exactly. But what I loved about this is that Cal in the future, grown up Cal-ish, it's not
Hmm.
that far ahead, it's 7 years. He actually he is so different anyway. No matter what choices he makes, he lands up just being different and an outsider anyway. He stands out. He's storm blessed. He stands
Yeah.
out no matter where he is. So it's something he needs to accept. Yeah, obviously at this age as well, it's a normal crisis that happens with a teenager. It's like you find how the world is, and you're like, okay, am I going to be like the world? Where do I fit in? And you want to fit in. That's really a huge desire for you. But then maybe you want to stand out. And so it's there's this the inner turmoil is going on, the teen angst is going on, and then you see it pay off in Caledon later on, which I just,
Yeah.
again, love. I think that you'll find the lives of bakers and farmers are not so enviable.
At least they have friends.
And so do you. What of Tien?
Tien's not my friend, Mother. He's my brother. And, well, there's more to the interaction, but I am a little bit on Cal's side here, this far in.
Yeah, you can't just have your family. You do one. That's what he means. Caledon, it doesn't mean it that way. It's not that he's lonely. It means he's noticed that he doesn't get on with people the way other people get on with each other.
Yeah.
So that's not gonna comfort me, Mom.
And,
Nice try.
and you can't go through life only being with
Hmm.
family.
Yeah, you can't.
Tien's not my friend, Mother. He's my brother.
Oh, and you can't be both at once?
Cal rolled his eyes. You know what I mean. She climbed down from the stepladder, patting his shoulder.
Yes, I do, and I'm sorry to make light of it. But you put yourself in a difficult position. You want friends, but do you really want to act like the other boys? Give up your studies so you can slave in the fields, grow old before your time, weathered and furrowed by the sun?
Cal didn't reply.
The things that others have always seem better than what you have. Bring the stepladder.
So the line "Yes, I do, and I'm sorry to make light of it" washes away all of the frustration I had with her bringing up Tien in the first place. What really stuck out to me about that, though, is that is such a good thing to say in this situation. It vividly made me think of Dalinar and how
Mhm.
he has handled last argument notwithstanding,
Mm-hmm.
previous arguments with Adolin and Renarin, and his ability to be like, I hear you.
It's
You
important.
are, it is important. What you are saying is valid. At the same time, so they are both good communicators, I think,
Mm-hmm.
is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. And she responds to her son's frustration. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And her point actually also resonated with me, because that's what I'm thinking of Kaladin the whole time. Is that this guy, as much as this kid, he wants to be part of everyone, which everybody wants, that's human, but he is not like everyone else. So he's going to have to embrace that in some to some degree.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about her bringing this up. That do you really want to be like the other boys? Do you really? Is it really what you want? I think you just want to feel accepted. That doesn't mean that you really want to do what other people are doing.
Yeah. Cal followed dutifully, rounding the town hall to the other side, then putting down the ladder so his mother could climb up to begin work again. The others think Father stole those spheres. They think he wrote out that order from Bright Lord Wistio and had the old man sign it when he didn't know what he was doing. His mother was silent. So that's the line right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So he restates that concerning bit of gossip, and it is her silence that speaks volumes here. And
Mm-hmm.
I, I'm not mad at Cal for continuing on,
Mm-hmm.
because he is a child and he's more focused on what he's going through. But I'm so mad that that was not discussed more. It's like, no, that's where the concern is. Say it.
Yeah,
Say how
but
bad it is.
she's protecting him. So
Yeah.
it's like he's intelligent enough to understand, but she's still protecting him. She's not going to use him to figure out what to do. That's
Yeah.
that's a parenting thing. It's like, look, you are allowed to be concerned, and actually speaking a bit more about it will show that you are more uncertain, and that might rattle the child. So there's this weird balance that just you can't consult with your child for ideas.
Yeah. I mean, I just had, as you were saying that, this image in my mind of this family taking the spheres and going to Carbronth, like just all of them as a family, being like, you know
We're
what,
out.
you guys are ungrateful, so we're out. And
Mm,
then the imagination that follows from that is, well, Roshon would hear that they stole the
mhm.
spheres and he would send soldiers to track them down. Oh gosh, is this a
No,
prediction?
yeah, that might be
No,
what happened. No.
no, no. I'm speaking purely from just imagining a scenario.
Mhm,
But I imagine Roshon sending soldiers after them,
mhm.
and shoot, where was I going with that?
That's
It's
bad.
that's very bad. Oh man, it's so for those who don't know, it's abnormally late for when we normally record. So I'm gonna blame that on why I lost my place there.
If you
It was going somewhere
edit the
really good
Dorkus,
too.
edit the Dorkus. Okay, fine. When you you'll put it in as a note.
Yeah,
I've remembered. Blah blah blah.
yeah. Hopefully it'll come back to my mind. But it's oh yes, I do remember. Haha. As I was imagining that scenario, it occurred to me that this book so far kind of encapsulates this idea of the phrase bad things happen to good people.
Oh yes. Mhm.
That
So
is
many.
the entire point of that imaginative
Mhm.
scenario that I just spelled out. Dalinar seems to be a good person. Kaladin seems to be a good person, and bad things happen to them. Shalon
And
seems to be a good person.
mhm. Yeah, things good. They try their hardest, and we are always trying to figure out ways that they could get out of it, but bad things keep happening to them.
Yeah. Gavilar seems to have been a good person, or tried to
Mhm.
be.
Mhm.
Anyway, I hate their lies and gossip. I hate them for making up things about us.
Don't hate them, Carl. They're good people. In this case, they're just repeating what they've heard.
She glanced at the city lord's manor, distant upon a hill above the town. Every time Cal saw it, he felt like he should go up and talk to Laurel, but the last few times he'd tried, he hadn't been allowed to see her. Now that her father was dead, her nurse oversaw her time, and the woman didn't think mingling with boys from the town was appropriate. I'm so mad. They're friends,
Oh,
damn
yeah.
it.
Yeah, and she's just lost her father. She needs her friends. But
Yep.
okay, whatever. It's inappropriate. Ugh. This seems to be. It's such a meaningful glance that she looks over at the manor house because it's like, yeah, well, they're repeating what they've heard. So that's as good as her saying, "That's who said the rumors, those assholes." Like you can imagine her thinking the adult thought of freaking bitch over there, but being a good mom and just being like, no, no, don't hate them.
Yep. The nurse's husband, Miliv, had been Bright Lord Wistio's head steward. If there was a source of bad rumors about Cal's family, it probably came from him. He never had liked Cal's father. While Miliv wouldn't matter soon, a new city lord was expected to arrive any day. Oh man, wish he hadn't. And
and and there comes the consequences of the city lord is going to have those people in his ears just because
yep,
Milev's not going to, or Milev won't matter. It's like actually he will. He
he
very much
will.
will. Hmm.
Yep. Mother, those spheres are just sitting there doing nothing but glowing. Can't we spend some of them to keep you from having to come out here and work?
I like working. It clears the head.
Didn't you just tell me that I wouldn't like having to labor? My face furrowed before its time, or something poetic like that? She hesitated, then laughed.
Clever boy.
Cold boy, he grumbled, shivering.
I work because I want to. We can't spend those spheres. They're for your education. And so my working is better than forcing your father to charge for his healings.
So, working mom.
Mm-hmm. Working mom. She's working. She is sacrificing. The whole family is sacrificing for this education. They're not spending it to run away or to do any of that.
And not
It's
just the
Mm.
education, but so that Liren can provide his services for free for a bunch of
Yeah.
ingrates.
For yeah, exactly. I guess that's just another frustrating thing, and maybe she has thoughts about this as well, but she has had to accept that this is the way her husband is, so she will
Yeah.
work because her husband has principles that he has to do. So she's also making sacrifices for him.
Yeah. And even if she did have a problem working, and I suspect
Mhm.
that she doesn't, she
Mhm.
wouldn't tell Kaladin, yeah, I don't like working.
Yeah, absolutely not. She's the kind of mom that's not going to be telling her son that.
Yeah. And in a little while, Cal is gonna imagine marrying a Light Eyes and where his standing would be in regard to her and his children.
Mhm.
Do we know for certain who is higher? Did Liren marry up or did Hesina marry up? I think Liren married up.
Yeah, we get that clue just now. We'll get that.
Yeah. Maybe they'd respect us more if we did charge.
Oh, they respect us. No, I don't think that is the problem. You know that we're second none.
Sure.
An accomplished young surgeon of the right rank could draw the attention of a poor and noble family, one who wished money and acclaim. It happens in the larger cities.
Well, for one thing, that means she's advocating that Cal charge for his services.
Yeah, so at some point, yeah. So maybe if Carl gets his education, he could land up being charging for his services elsewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I love this. What's coming next?
Me too. Cal glanced up at the mansion again. That's why you encouraged me to play with Laurel so much. You wanted to marry me off to her, didn't you?
It was a possibility.
His mother said, returning to her work. Confirmed!
I love that. Okay, so I was very happy that Kaladin actually had put these things together, But I
Mhm.
realized that he hadn't put these things together in the previous flashback. It's been a while. And now, only now he has become aware of this, which is so cute.
Yeah, it is so cute. And it's even more fortuitous that Laurel seemed to like Cal.
Exactly. So it's just that makes you go, "Aw," and then also what made me excited was like, so they don't need him to be a light eyes for them to actually get married. But obviously in their
She
childlike world,
wants.
yeah,
Yeah.
she wants that. Yeah.
No woman wants to marry down.
Truth, yeah.
He honestly wasn't certain how he felt about that. The last few months had been strange for Cal. His father had forced him into his studies, but in secret he'd spent his time with the staff. Two possible paths, both enticing. Cal did like learning, and he longed for the ability to help people, bind their wounds, make them better. He saw true nobility in what his father did. But it seemed to Cal that if he could fight, he could do something even more noble, protect their lands like the great light-eyed heroes of the stories, and there was the way he felt when holding a weapon. So that segment there really had me
Mhm.
thinking about Dalinar's recent vision. It seems like there's something instinctual within Cal, some sort of instinctual spiritual connection to these old ideals, yeah?
Yeah, without having been taught them or anything. It's just what is valuable to him.
I I'm not very familiar with Wheel of Time. Other than that, I know that there are cycles.
Mhm.
I did wonder if there was some sort of Wheel of Timey, because Brandon Sanderson likes Wheel of Time, reincarnation thing maybe going on, sort of a spirit of a maybe the spirit of one of the heralds. Did we wonder if the heralds were reincarnated every time they came back as different people?
Yeah, I know that I had that thought. I don't know if I had expressed it. When just with the whole idea of the Way of Kings and there being heralds and things like that, I did consider some sort of reincarnation, cyclical nature thing, but, as we've read, I've kind of abandoned it because of just like, oh, well, the the heralds didn't go and die this time, they didn't go back to damnation, so they aren't
Except
reincarnated, but
Talanow.
yes, exactly. That's what I did think as well, is that there is one left that is supposed to come back. So I was wondering, is that what eventually happens? This series is so epic. It could be something like that, but we are so far away from knowing, which
Yeah.
I love.
But now there is a part of me that wonders if Kaladin
Mhm.
is reincarnated Talanow.
Mhm.
I mean, and really, doesn't Kaladin feel like the kind of person to sacrifice himself to save others, which was Talonel's whole thing?
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Mhm.
Two paths, opposites in many ways. He could only choose one. His mother kept chipping away at the eaves, and, with a sigh, Cal fetched a second stepladder and set of tools from the workroom, then joined her. He was tall for his age, but he still had to stand high on the ladder. He caught his mother smiling as he worked, no doubt pleased at having raised such a helpful young man. In reality, Cal just wanted the chance to pound on something.
I love that. I was laughing because I'm like, you know what? He's still a 13-year-old boy. He's angry. Just he wants to hit stuff. Okay.
Yep, very real. How would he feel marrying someone like Laurel? He'd never be her equal. Their children would have a chance of being light eyed or dark eyed, so even his children might outrank him. He knew he'd feel terribly out of place. That was another aspect of becoming a surgeon. If he chose that path, he would be choosing the life of his father, choosing to set himself apart, to be isolated. If he went to war, however, he would have a place. Maybe he could even do the nearly unthinkable, win a Shardblade and become a true Light Eyes. Then he could marry Laurel and not have to be her inferior. Was that why she'd always encouraged him to become a soldier? Had she been thinking about these kinds of things even back then? Back then, these kinds of decisions, marriage, his future, had seemed impossibly far off to Cal. Yes, Cal?
She was thinking that I wrote, yes, because, yes, she was thinking about that, of course she was, and that and those were in her pauses and her weird behavior, and I remember enjoying him being so oblivious. And I'm glad he's come around, although it's a bit late now, but he has thoughts. Oh, he actually is still oblivious because he's wondering if she had these thoughts. He doesn't know still.
Yep.
Also, just the way I felt so bad where he says if he went to war, he would have a place. It's like he got put in his place. He got put in several places when he went to war, which we still
Yeah.
don't know exactly how it happened. But you knowing what where he lands up, it's like you have no idea, little young Cal, what man Cal goes through. So
Poor kid.
yeah, it and just the thing of like choose he's got these two paths and he has choices about where his life's going to be and go at this point, but it's like choices have been made for him over and over and are being made for him in the future there where he's a whole ass slave basically.
Yeah.
But at the same time he still makes his own choices, chooses to live, chooses to be a certain way. So I love the actualization that we have witnessed here. um,
Yeah.
we see where he came from.
And I think Cal is rightly uncomfortable with the idea that his children could rank higher than him.
Yeah.
I I don't like that
Mm-hmm.
idea either.
Mm-hmm.
Could lead to some very concerning attitude problems from a child, although I suspect Cal would probably be a decent father.
Yeah, but the dynamics, there's then the socially, other people would expect a certain way, as would expect the children to treat the father a certain way. So there's just this external factor that would
Yeah.
definitely contribute to the dynamics. And that's, yeah, I understand that he would want to be a real light eyes. That's why he wants Laurel. That's he wouldn't mind marrying her then, which I like.
He felt so young. Did he really have to consider these questions? It would still be another few years before the surgeons of Carbronth would let him take their tests, but if he were going to become a soldier instead, he'd have to join the army before that happened. How would his father react if Cal just up and went with the recruiters? Cal wasn't certain he'd be able to face Liren's disappointed eyes. As if in response to his thoughts, Liren's voice called from nearby. Hesina! Cal's mother turned, smiling and tucking a stray lock of dark hair back into her kerchief. Cal's father rushed down the street, his face anxious. Cal felt a sudden jolt of worry. Who was wounded? Why hadn't Liren sent for him?
What is it?
He's here, Hesina.
About time.
Who? Cal asked, jumping down from the stepladder. Who's here? The new city lord's son. His name is Bright Lord Rashon. No time to change, I'm afraid. Not if we want to catch his first speech. Come on! The three of them hurried away, Cal's thoughts and worries banished in the face of the chance to meet a new Light Eyes.
Sheesh, he's still very much in love with Light Eyes and really thinks Light Eyes are heroes. He's
The cope
oof. Mm,
he experiences later,
mm,
when he is smart enough to know that this guy doesn't look like a very
mhm,
nice guy. We'll get to that when we get to that.
mhm.
But yeah, he still has a very idyllic idea
Yeah,
of
so mm.
of what it means to be Light Eyes.
Yeah, and that is why he copes so hard because that's his immediate thought. He's so excited to meet a new one. So now, so of course he'll be invested in maintaining that belief.
Yeah, he didn't send word ahead, Laren said under his breath.
That could be a good sign. Maybe he doesn't feel he needs everyone to dote on him.
Even and that right there, I was already feeling fairly ominous.
Yeah.
Hesina's too optimistic here.
She's just trying, okay? She's trying her best. She's just trying
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. That or he's inconsiderate. Stormfather, I hate getting a new landed. So that's the first time we've seen the word
Heard that.
landed like that, yeah?
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, whoa, what do they mean? Like a new landed, what, a landing of a landlord? Is landed just a landlord? Where does the origin of that come from? Landed as in Starfall's landed? Is
Mm,
it a residual of that?
yeah, I don't really know. But it has something to do, I suspect, with the Bright Lord and the change of dynamics and the hierarchy, I think.
And the land.
And the land. Always makes me feel like I'm throwing a handful of stones into a game of breakneck. Will we throw the queen or the tower?
We shall see soon enough.
Hesina said, glancing at Cal.
Don't let your father's words unnerve you. He always gets pessimistic at times like this.
I do not. She gave him a look. Name one other time.
Meeting my parents?
Cal's father pulled up short, blinking. Storm winds. Let's hope this doesn't go half as poorly as that. I found that this is sweet. This is sweet parent behavior.
It's endearing relationship back and forth kind of thing that she just looks at him.
Yeah, it's very innocent, I think, and considering Cal's innocence in this chapter, it's apropos.
But it also has function because we get a bit of exposition.
Cal listened with curiosity. He'd never met his mother's parents. They weren't often spoke of. That's your suspicion then, that she married down?
Yeah, that's where I got the thoughts about she might have been higher up than him, and she might be the daughter of a light eyes or some sort of thing that a half breed basically that had dark eyes, like that's what a child would be. So yeah, these coin tosses of breeding is kind of what happens in these situations. So yeah, and then the fact, look, it's easy for us to just go, oh well, anyone meeting their partner's parents is scary. That's you don't need to read too far into it. But I'm reading that, considering the context of, we had a bit more of an explanation of what happens with a light eyes marrying a dark eyes. Here, I think that there is light eyes in her genetics.
Blood.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that's great. I think that's all great theorizing.
Yeah. Maybe it's because it's so late, but I'll take it.
A crowd was gathered, and Tien was already there, waiting. He waved in his excitable way, jumping up and down. Wish I had half that boy's energy, Liren said. I've got a place for us picked out, Tien called eagerly, pointing. By the rain barrels! Come on! We're gonna miss it! Tien scurried over, climbing atop the barrels. Several of the town's other boys noticed him, and they nudged one another, one making some comment Cal couldn't hear. It set the others laughing at Tien, and that immediately made Cal furious. Tien didn't deserve mockery just because he was a little small for his age. Again, there's that sense of justice and protectionism. He feels very protective, and Tien is still young and innocent.
And I'm also with him on the fury. They're like, shut up, you assholes.
Yeah.
Tien's amazing.
Another imaginative pathway that I was thinking about is Rashon tries to go get the spheres back, and Tien stupidly gets involved for some reason, and Rashon somehow kills Tien because of it.
I could see that happening. I could see that happening. I look, maybe the why of it, I don't know. Maybe it's about the spheres or whatever, but I feel like Tien dying could be on Rashon's shoulders. That's what I'm feeling like by the end of this.
Yeah. This wasn't a good time to confront the other boys, though, so Cal sullenly joined his parents beside the barrels. Tien smiled at him, standing atop his barrel. He'd piled a few of his favorite rocks near him, stones of different colors and shapes. There were rocks all around them, and yet Tien was the only person he knew who found wonder in them. After a moment's consideration, Cal climbed atop a barrel, careful not to disturb any of Tien's rocks, so he too could get a better view of the City Lord's procession. A big to-do.
Yeah, but also just, again, more lovely Kaladin appreciating Tien. Maybe he doesn't understand it, but he's like, okay, I won't kick your rocks or anything like that. He's a good brother.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
And he realizes how whimsical and valuable his brother is.
Yep. It was enormous. There must have been a dozen wagons in that line, following a fine black carriage pulled by 4 sleek black horses. Cal gawked despite himself. Wistio had only owned 1 horse, and it had seemed as old as he was. So already we're getting the sense that this guy is perhaps going to be a bit proud.
Yeah, he's in a different league. He's a different breed. He's going to be a lot more inaccessible, I would say.
Yeah. Could one man, even a Light Eyes, own that much furniture? Where would he put it all? And there were people, too. Dozens of them riding in the wagons, walking in groups. There were also a dozen soldiers in gleaming breastplates and leather skirts. This Light Eyes even had his own honor guard. This also doesn't sound like very much. So
Mm.
I'm thinking it looks grander than it probably actually is because of Cal's wonder. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
and it's because of what he's only been exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Yeah.
a completely new experience.
Eventually, the procession reached the turnoff to Hearthstone. A man riding a horse led the carriage and its soldiers forward to the town, while most of the wagons continued up to the manor. Cal grew increasingly excited as the carriage rolled slowly into place. Would he finally get to see a real light-eyed hero? The word around town claimed it was likely that the new city lord would be someone King Gavilar or High Prince Sadius had promoted because he distinguished himself in the wars to unite Alethkar. Oh, how far you're gonna fall.
Yeah. Like how the way he's going to think about Sadius as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just I love the function of these flashbacks. They're getting better every time.
The carriage turned sideways so that the door faced the crowd. The horses snorted and stomped the ground, and the carriage driver hopped down and quickly opened the door. A middle-aged man with a short, gray-streaked beard stepped out. He wore a ruffled violet coat tailored so that it was short at the front, reaching only to his waist, but long at the back. Beneath it he wore a golden takama, a long straight skirt that went down to his calves. A takama. Few wore them anymore, but old soldiers in town spoke of the days when they'd been popular as warriors' garb. Cal hadn't expected the takama to look so much like a woman's skirt, but still, it was a good sign. Roshon himself seemed a little too old, a little too flabby, to be a true soldier, but he wore a sword. Okay.
Mm.
Old and flabby suggests he's not going into any frays, or has been.
No, he's just not recently. He's got sons or something that are doing that sort of thing for him, or he's a city lord who's been chilling.
Yeah.
Actually,
And the old style, again, speaks to that pride I had
Mhm.
mentioned earlier. He seems to be a bit proud.
So maybe he was some sort of warrior, but now he's not. He's no Dalinar.
I think it's more of a classism proud,
Mhm.
more so than
Yeah.
an accomplished proud.
Mm.
And then Cal wore more of a tunicky thing in that first chapter, right? It wouldn't have been a takama?
Mm-mm. I don't think it was.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't either. But it'll be curious if he decides to wear a takama at some point. Or hell, even Dalinar might, with his love
Mm.
of old.
Yes. The fashion is important to note. So it
Yeah.
has meaning in this book. So it's
Yeah.
important for us to talk about.
Agreed. The light-eyed man scanned the crowd, a distasteful look on his face as if he'd swallowed something bitter. That line right there is just like, yep, this guy's no good. This guy is
Yep.
no
Alarm
good.
bells.
Yep.
I'm like that's what made me think of like City Lord. Like he's like, what is this backwoods place that I've now been sent to? And yeah, it's all bad signs going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be happy with this at all.
Yeah. Behind the man, 2 people peeked out. A younger man with a narrow face and an older woman with braided hair. Roshon studied the crowd, then shook his head and turned around to climb back in the carriage. Cal frowned. Wasn't he going to say anything? The crowd seemed to share Cal's shock. A few of them began whispering in anxiety. Bright Lord Roshon! Cal's father called. And right there, immediately, I just put my hand to my forehead. This is awkward. Liren is awkward. He's cringe.
You shouldn't have done this, Lurin. Yeah.
Did you not read the face?
Yeah.
Liren, are you not good with people?
I don't think he is. He's trying something. I don't know. Look, he says we're gonna miss his first. This is this intelligent man. We're gonna miss his first speech. So he thinks that this man's gonna make a speech. So he's walking there thinking first speech. The man is turning to go back. He's not saying anything. So that's already a signal to you this is not the guy that you're looking for, or this is a problem. This is not the time to engage. We have to learn a bit more. But
Yeah.
he thinks this is the best way to deal with it. He's like, no, if he's not going to make a speech, I'll try and make him make a speech or something. Ugh. Ugh.
Yeah. And maybe maybe he thinks he's doing the townspeople some sort of favor, like maybe he can hear their anxiety and he's like
Yeah.
he should say something to calm everyone. But no, you wait, you let him leave, you chalk it up to him having a tough ride over, and then you bake him a pie and say welcome to the neighborhood later.
And you dress nicely because you know they couldn't change and all of that. So go and dress as put on your Sunday best and
Hmm.
go and try because you can see this guy is a certain way. But I suppose he's not good with people. And you know what?
Yeah.
I don't think the crowd appreciates this either. It's just like, oh God, of course he's going to make this feel even worse.
Agreed. The crowd hushed. The light-eyed man glanced back. People shied away, and Cal found himself shrinking down beneath that harsh gaze. Who spoke? Roshon demanded, his voice a low baritone. Liren stepped forward, raising a hand. Bright Lord, was your trip pleasant? Please, can we show you the town?
Mm,
The phrase "who spoke"
shit. It's
does
also like,
not in it does not invite
but he's
goodness.
like, I did.
Bright Lord, was your trip pleasant? Please, can we show you the town? What is your name? Liren, Bright Lord, Hearthstone's surgeon. Ah, you're the one who let old Wistio die. And then I was just my face went white. I was like, yeah, this guy is
Mm-mm.
gonna listen to every bad rumor. And
Yeah, he's ready. Yeah.
yeah, because this is pre-rumor. This is
Mhm.
him predisposed to blame the doctor
Mhm.
for his getting assigned to the backwater village.
Mhm. Immediately, he's primed to find a problem with this man, and it also just in general just made me so angry. Oh yeah, you let old Wistio die. Old, he's old, but no, he could. You let him die. Yes, that's how it works. That's how all of that works. Sure.
Yep. In a way, it's your fault I'm in this pitiful, miserable quarter of the kingdom. He grunted, then climbed back in the carriage and slammed the door. Within seconds, the carriage driver had replaced the stairs, climbed into his place, and started turning the vehicle around. Cal's father slowly let his arm fall to his side. The townspeople began to chatter immediately, gossiping about the soldiers, the carriage, the horses. Cal sat down on his barrel. Well, he thought to himself, I guess we could expect a warrior to be curt, right? The heroes from the legends weren't necessarily the polite types. Killing people and fancy talking didn't always go together, old Jarl had once told him. The cope, Kaladin. You
Aw.
don't see the danger.
No, he doesn't, which, you know what, you understand, he's just 13. And that exchange, just what was on my mind is just like the townspeople heard the Lord blame Liren. So
Yeah,
that's just that danger as well is going there. And we have Kaladin over here not being angry at the Lord at all. He is not seeing it. And
yeah,
the dramatic irony hurts.
yeah. It's very bad. And he's gonna want to be friends with Rashon or
Mm.
something, interact with him in some way. And this is not going to end up being a situation where the townsfolk rally around Liren.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so. And you know what? That also just makes Cal also does not see things.
Yeah,
His he's not as good with people either because he doesn't pick up on that.
yeah. Now, I have not read The Lord of the Rings. I've seen the movies, love the movies. I've not
Mhm.
actually read all of The Lord of the Rings, but it's my understanding that the scouring of the Shire is a thing. I guess
Mhm.
Saruman comes and wreaks havoc upon the place, just utterly destroying it. I'm
Mhm.
not saying Rashon is going to be that bad for this place, but I feel pretty strongly that whatever happens to Tien will start the rolling stone of avalanche of these townspeople are all going to suffer really badly.
Is there going to be the scouring of Hearthstone?
That's what I'm wondering.
Mm.
Lirin walked back, his expression troubled.
Well,
Hesina said, trying to sound cheerful.
what do you think? Did we throw the queen or the tower?
Neither.
Oh? And what did we throw instead?
I'm not sure. A pair and a trio, maybe. Let's get back home. Tien scratched his head in confusion, but the words weighed on Cal. The tower was 3 pairs in a game of breakneck. The queen was 2 trios. The first was an outright loss, the other an outright win. But a pair and a trio, that was called the butcher. Whether you won or not would depend on the other throws you made, and more importantly, on the throws of everyone else. Yeah, so back to my scouring
Mhm.
comment. That's why I think Rashon could end up being the butcher. And then, of course, we get this confirmation that the butcher is a term in this card game. Not card game, but some sort of game.
Stone's game, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised. It must be the time of night. You didn't bring up the coin flipping of a Targaryen, whether we're gonna get a crazy or not, because yeah, that was the first thing when he brought up this throwing in a game. I did think of such is the way with the Targaryen. Which way is it gonna flip? So yeah, I was waiting for you to make that comment, but I made it instead. Here it is. But yeah, I don't know what the father means by that. Like, yeah, it's okay, fine. So he doesn't know. I suppose that's the point that he's making, is that it all depends on what other people are doing. And considering our comments on the town and on the Lord over here, it's looking like the throws of the other people are going to go against Kaladin's family and go
Yeah.
against the overall good, as you've said, the overall good of the town.
Yeah.
Great chapter.
Great chapter. Glad we did it as a read through.
Mhm.
For those who found their way here and are new, we don't usually do these for Way of Kings. We usually just summarize and then discuss, but
Mhm.
we also like to mix things up every now and again. So enjoy.
Stay tuned. Subscribe.
Please do. And subscribe to that Donkita if you get a chance, because she's got a great channel where she does stuff. And thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks,
Get
bye.
it.
We made it. It's 3:10 a.m.